Okay, Bismillah. So everybody with me again. So you're stuck with me for the next 1 hour or about another 30 minutes. Okay, so all right. So we have actually gone through the introduction. So now I will be going through the fundamentals of ICU care, and especially what we are focusing today would be the COVID-19 ICU care. I think we will be specific, but of course, when we go specific later in terms of talking disease or all the further talks, but the fundamentals or the core issue of ICU or intensive care is universal. It's the same. It's just more intensive. Apa itu nama kan? Dah nama doktor jaga patient lah, tapi lagi intensif lah. So we will go through this. Well, I'll try to make this as simple as possible so that you are aware of this idea. All right? Okay. I think we have, since having this search in January, there's a lot of interest by everybody talking about ICU, and bila cakap pasal ICU je mesti tunjuk gambar ni. Gambar, oh kita dah ada ventilator, etc. But I guess everybody in the field knows that this is not the thing about ICU. Definitely. Okay, ni machine, okay lah, fine. They want to justify in terms of how benda ni semua penting, industry, livelihood versus health, etc. But what is more important is this team that we have in ICU. That means it's you, and all of us. All right, the doctors, the nurses, the technicians in ICU, everybody plays a role, and it is this teamwork that we were talking about, critical care. This is a standard setup of ICU that we have. Okay, so as you can see, patient intubated, ventilated. Okay, this is, even in your mind, you know, this is apa kata ICU lah, macam mana pun. But again, with all the monitor that is available, you see this is the ventilator on the right. Okay, on the left side of your screen, your circuit, then you ada punya suction, patient tube, the DVT pump, bed dia pun katil yang kalau proper ICU, you have your apa kata the ability to, dia tak bagi pressure sore punya teknologi. You have your infusion pump, of course monitor kat sini tak nampak. But again, to me, when we talk about ICU care, the most important part of it is our ICU nurse. Okay, ICU nurse ni sangat-sangat core. Medical officer, yes, but you are not in charge of that person. Okay, sometimes, unfortunately, in our setup of ICU, maybe one nurse has to take care of 2 ventilated patients, but they are core. Why? Because they look at patient every second, every minute. Sama lah kan, every second, every minute, everything you would like to know, you tanya nurse, she will know in and out. And of course, in COVID again, kita tak encourage to have this really touching the patient all the time, and our nurse is at risk. So we depend a lot on the ICU nurse. Hence, even as a doctors and medical officers, we must appreciate this nurse's role. And even though they are new, we should know as well what their job is, so that we can share and the understanding of what is expected. But of course, in pandemic and for new nurses, little required is very protocol based. So what is intensive care dalam bahasa Melayunya? Intensive care, rawatan rapi, rawatan rapi. So it's, I think, from the words of my mentor, I mean, dia kata otai lah, otai ICU anesthesia, apa ni, Prof Alex Delican, is care of the unconscious or care of the semi-conscious. That's what we do. Because what happens in ICU is we take care, or we take over. Okay, these are the 4 points. Sebenarnya 4 points you can use when you are asked kenapa patient masuk ICU by family members. So you can see we are taking over the fundamentals of human function. Example, patient ada katakan oxygenation problem, lung problem, kita take over lung dia. Patient ada issues of the katakan cardiovascular system, we take over the cardiovascular system. So we take over the fundamentals and we wait for it to heal. It's close monitoring as the body recovers. Again, everything in ICU is goal-directed therapy, and it's very, very, orang kata, very acute and fast, short term. Bukan hari ni kita buat bagi medication, tengok besok BP macam mana. Tu is within that same half an hour, within an hour, there is a target that we want to achieve, the MAP that we want. If tak ada, we escalate, we increase as much as how we want it to be. So that's ICU. very intense. And of course, once you are admitted to ICU, it's 50-50. Okay, tak ada masuk ICU ni macam kata, tak ada masalah ni masuk ICU kan. It's always 50-50. So these are the 4 points that maybe you can share when being asked. Kadang-kadang especially tiba-tiba you kena caught off guard. Okay, kenapa kena masuk ICU? Kenapa? Then you can tell all these 4 points. It's a good important resource. Okay, this one saja I letak my picture because at least mungkin kalau tak ingat pun you ingat lah this particular graph, the apa kata the conclusion or the summary of what ICU care is. Alright, in ICU there will always be a severe life-threatening disease which is happening in a person. Life-threatening ni. So you institute the treatment. Alright, sometimes the treatment works, sometimes doesn't work. That's why there's this redox punya arrow. It can go back to the severe life-threatening condition. But if it is good, it will go to recovery. And of course, it takes time. So that is what ICU care is about. And again, the taking over of function, the respiratory system. If we have problem with oxygen, problem with oxygenation, so we constitute oxygen therapy. If it is really bad, we institute mechanical ventilation, RS, respiratory system. Again, the central cardiovascular system pula. If ada problem, vasopressor. So this is the support that we give to them. And again, patient hypoxic, patient dengan CNS ada issue, dia tak boleh. So what we do, we constitute sedation. So we are taking over the fundamental function of the human body. In hepatorenal, ini sangat-sangat penting ni, your input-output. Your input and output, very, very important. What you give in and what you give out. And your kidney, the functioning of the kidney, and of course the functioning of your liver as well. And that if there are issues, we do replacement therapy. Kita panggil replacement therapy. For example, for kidney dialysis, even the liver is possible to dialyze. And of course, in considering this, we monitor the biochemical balance. Very, very important. So this is what we see. That's why the intense in ICU, we're taking over the fundamentals. So all these points are to be noted. Of course, jangan lupa GI, you punya gastrointestinal. We're talking about nutrition, body in a catabolic state. So you have to teruskan, apa kata, hidup perlu diteruskan. Orang tak makan, orang sakit pun kita kena continue bagi makan. You have to continue that nutrition. And of course, again, gut protection. Very important. When you are stressed, definitely you can induce gastric ulcers. Again, the limbs here, we're talking about the ensuring, siapa kata, physiotherapy, etc. And of course, your lower limb, we're talking about risk because patient being stagnant, risk of deep vein thrombosis. So these are all issues on consideration that you have. And of course, the holistic care of ICU, bukan setakat letak ventilator biar macam tu. Tak, you have to see all this and protocolize. Very, very important. Then you're taking care. Kan kita jaga orang kita kena as if dia orang hidup lah macam mana. So your hygiene, satu benda yang jaga ICU ni sometimes katakan kan what ventilate, dia perasan dia punya mulut tu bau kan, tak ada orang take care. So you have to take care. It's their dignity, kita kena jaga. So there are the things that we need to do and ensure. And of course the monitoring of the pressure sore, area yang dekat atas katil patient on the board, you have to ensure because kejap je dia pun. And especially we're talking about COVID, we are talking about prone positioning, etc. Benda-benda ni very, very important. Not uncommon lah. Tak ada kita besar-besar punya pressure sore dekat perut, dekat all your chest, etc. So these are important points that need to know. This is actually about ICU care. Sebenarnya, when you talk about fundamental ICU care, inilah the concept and principle. And in ICU, these are all real-time physiological changes. The real time, dia tak ada tunggu-tunggu ke apa, tak, dia real. You will see that. That's why you have invasive monitoring. You have your arterial line, you will know point to point of care, your blood pressure and how the heart behaves. And these interventions are immediate, predictable, and you can see the measurable outcomes and rewards. And these rapid changes, you will see as you treat the patient. Sometimes people are interested in ICU because it gives them satisfaction to see that change, but patients are severely ill. So just a list of what we talk about ICU basic equipment, but I mean, this is just for reference for you to understand in the setup, especially the repurpose. Imagine having all this in your setup, but at the same time, COVID-19 measure kan kat ward, maybe you put your screen etc. Tapi itulah interesting sebenarnya, sometimes bila kita letak plastik cover ni macam it's actually for us kot. Because I say even if you ada your PPE, you are okay. You are already in that protective side. Tapi bila ada macam kekun ni macam rasa selamat. Tapi kena careful in terms of infection control, because sometimes you can contain more and cause more problem. Maknanya lagi efektif kalau you are not protected PPE in these cocoons. Ada orang, I think medical team ada panggil, dia kata kalau buat round dia panggil aquarium round. Saya tengok dari luar kan macam aquarium. So but that's the reality of COVID-19. You reduce your contact with the patient. Okay. This is a concept in ICU. I think all over the world we talk about this. Kalau macam you nak tengok ICU care, this is one way how you monitor and check patient every day. Senang to remember. Is this orang kata acronym of FAST, HUGS, BID. There are multiple version, but I'm giving this sama je lebih kurang. FAST, HUGS at least lah. And actually dia panggil BID, tapi pasal kita kat Malaysia kan tiap hari kita biasa kau BID tu kita faham sikit lah. So FAST, HUGS, BID. For what do they actually represent? So FAST, HUGS, F for feeding, A analgesia, S sedation, T thromboembolic prophylaxis, H head elevation, U ulcer prophylaxis, G would be your glycemic control, and spontaneous breathing trial. So kenapa all this important? Because sometimes bila kita monitor kan, orang tengok monitor tu 3 je. Blood pressure, SpO2, respiratory rate. Itu pun kalau macam ventilator tak boleh tipu lah. Kalau yang macam ward biasa mesti 20 respiratory rate. Betul ke? Kalau textbook kan respiratory rate 8 to in fact 6 to 12 kan, tapi kita tengok kalau kita punya KKM ni selalu 20. Interesting kan? Okay, never mind. Okay, we talk about number 1, feeding. I mean, this is actually in this acronym, they purposely put feeding on top because this is something that we always forget, to feed the patient. So there must be a provision in your way, bukan bagi fluid saja, but to feed the patient, because you need to normalize everything and at the same time provide nutrition, because patient at catabolic state, they need energy. And how do you give energy? Is through your feeds. Of course, patients who are ill, we are talking about analgesia and sedation, patient on the tube. Macam all of you, kalau siapa yang pernah lah ada experience kena tube will know it is not comfortable. Suka hati je cakap pakcik tu kan terbatuk-batuk dengan tube, lepas tu pakcik tak apa, sakit tu. It's very very painful to have the tube in the throat. No, sakit. So you need analgesia to sort that out, to sort patient for them to be comfortable on the tube. And of course the sedation, appropriate sedation and monitoring of the sedation. This I think will be talk in detail lagi later lah. T, your thromboembolic prophylaxis, sangat-sangat penting for your DVT, especially for COVID-19. Head must always be 30 degrees. Again, as I mentioned, ulcer prophylaxis is a very stressful condition for the body. So you kena ada, kalau tak pasal-pasal apa GI bleed. And again, it is very common juga we're talking about GI bleed in COVID-19 complications. Glycemic control, of course, because that will tell you in terms of body stress. Kan, kalau patient yang diabetic apa semua, lagilah dia punya sugar, so you have to control that. As spontaneous breathing trial, this is something that every day we have to do to ensure that patient ada effort untuk macam their own breathing, but it depends on the situation. Kalau that initial COVID, maybe you want a full sedation, you don't really do this, but later on it is very good, especially as you want to wean the patient off the ventilator. This should be always in plan. But I think in COVID-19 lain sikit, kita intubate, kita expect seminggu to ventilate before we even think about extubating. Your bowel regimen, ni penting ni. Kalau tiap-tiap hari manusia kita nak pergi toilet apa semua kan. So so the bowel regimen we have to do, we must be ordered. So kita kena ensure that movement. BID, indwelling catheter, the lines. Ini sangat-sangat penting in ICU. But of course, it depends on how you insert it and depends on the protocol of the intensivist. But again, I think this needs to be done properly in your setup, your leader in the hospital to manage all the ICU bed in the repurposed bed. Pasal takkan nak tukar line katakan 3 hari. But it depends how. Kalau in ICU memang orang kata 3 hari kan, siksa nak. So you put central line depending. Ada sepsis tukar lagi. Satu benda ICU yang leceh ni asyik-asyik tukar. Tapi kalau for medical MOs yang baru, seronok juga sebenarnya, because you tend to practice or do your lines and you get your experience at the same time. And of course, de-escalate antibiotics. ICU is place where superbugs are being developed and born. So very, very important, even in the setting of say what pun you kena jaga this. So if a collaboration that you have with the ID team, I guess certain protocols that they have, but these are important points that need to have. Fast Hubs BID. Simple nak ingat. So kalau lupa dalam email chatting, all this you do. So but the okay, when we talk about chatting, so it depends juga where your center is. Kalau katakan you are in Selayang, Sedang, Sungai Buloh, all computerized, you may not see this chat lah. But I think Sungai Buloh we still use this chat. Kenapa? Because if, say for example, you are already used to the IT system, everything sebenarnya goes back to this chart. Ini orang kata kita punya holy grail of ICU. This chart tells us everything. It's a daily monitoring. Daripada jauh tengok, if I come to my ICU, I see my nurse, I tengok my chart. Why? It's real-time chatting. Okay. Fair enough. In IT, of course lah, itu lagi you punya real-time chatting. But then you don't see an overall picture because it's in folders. Bila you extract them out, satu-satu compartmentalized. But please know that all this in your computer, in your IT system, your setup, your HIS is based on this chart. Kenapa? Because it's real-time chatting. You do your chat every 15 minutes, depending lah macam mana, but you see the pattern, dia naik, dia turun. And of course, when we look in ICU, we look what trend. Kita tak just one reading, oh BP low. No. We see the trend. If they tell me my BP is low, I will see the trend. Was there a change of baseline in your MAP? Maybe your systolic. Systolic ada turun ke macam mana? You want to see that. And that will be your points of concern. Everything is written down in this chart. Whatever you do, for example, tiba-tiba kalau kat HKL dulu, is very important. Kalau kita tengok, tiba-tiba ada urine output banyak. So mesti tanya, did you give furosemide? So dia akan tengok dekat chart ni, ada tak bagi ni. Nak ngelat, nak bagi IO to balance kan. Bagi furosemide lambat-lambat, dekat-dekat pagi tu. No, you don't do that. You do give that, but on certain reasonings why. Not for your balance, is for the functioning of the patient. But you see, all this information is in one chart. Everything you chart this out daily. So when you want to refer, it's easy. In an ICU, in our mind, those managing lah. But for you, as you are learning, this is where you see. If the patients or the nurse tell you BP low, you want to see the trend. And these are your points of concern. You go back and you see what is being given or what happened then. Is it the ventilator setting being changed? So this is very, very core. I guess in makeshift ICU, perhaps this will be instituted for you, the ICU charts. Okay, again, kalau you can go through this familiar, but you have to be familiar because macam pump, you tak boleh je suruh nurse pasal pump nak suruh naik increase, because when you see the patient sometimes you have to handle, so you have to understand your pumps, your monitor, your ventilator. Ventilator ni lagi lah sangat penting. Later on nanti we can go on, but I guess for your level, the basic things to know, the care. Kalau tiba-tiba problem, patient tiba-tiba hypoxic, you have to rule out the machine punya problem dulu. You punya sampling, science and medication admin, all these skills in ICU, monitoring of your invasive lines. So these are important, and you kalau you boleh tick ni semua, then you are ready to work in an ICU. Another thing which is important, especially in COVID ICU, is communication. Not just communication with your team members. Alright, communication team members ni penting ni. Why? Because you're in full PPE. I'm sure you by now you are already aware, when you're full PPE ni, cakap ni jerit-jerit ni. Jerit-jerit cakap dengan seorang-seorang. Kenapa yang kalau kerja consultant, especially yang cakap, kalau kita nak increase blood pressure, macam ni, sorry lah. You memang you kena jerit-jerit. Tapi je lah, this you can take the opportunity. MO tak puas hati. Saya tahu lah, I know. Lepas tu nanti specialist pun tanya, apa pasal ni kan? Oh no, tak nak communicate. Bukan dia tahu kan kita tengah marah dalam PPE, but that's the reality. And sometimes you have to create that sign languages, simple sign languages. Macam orang pergi diving, okay, tak apa benda kan. So sometimes you have to communicate through that, especially on ICU in barrier. You are not in your full PPE, your nurses in full PPE inside. So instructions that you give, so very, very important, because kita dah limited ni dengan semua PPE covered, etc. The communication. Again, communication with family members. I think I would always emphasize this. In ICU setting, the orang kata middleman, orang tengah is you, the carer. If it's not the nurse, it's the medical officer. Every day you have to communicate. So you must be have effective communication skills with them. We are not trained, but by telling this slowly, hopefully you will understand. Macam bila kita call for intubation or we call for end of life. So these are important. ICU, not just about our work, but our communication. Just the example of a setup of ICU, especially kalau dalam ward ataupun kata field ICU, this was the setup in Labuan hari tu, what we did, what we have. So ini our resources. So your ability to understand, know apa yang ada dalam ICU bed. I think important for your knowledge. In the care module, again, this is important, and this will be kita akan go through lah with all the topics today. Example, now we're talking about assessment of ill patient, your ICU chart, your full monitoring setup, airway management, ventilator care, prone positioning, and of course we talk about shock management. Shock management. So we're talking about your infusion, including bleeding, and care of the deceased. So this will be the care module that you have, and basically the expectant of your job sebenarnya ni je, the fundamentals of ICU. Alright, I can't teach you everything in this short term, but for you to understand. Again, these are just, I'm putting up here the list of the understanding of what ICU bed is all about. But again, in COVID-19, infection control procedure, your donning, doffing where you are, mana nak buang, mana nak jaga, this is very, very, very important. I'll just skip through this because this is just a repetition, but this is good resource if you are able to source these slides so you can see and understand in your tick what you do every day, especially what the nurses do too. I emphasize ni sebenarnya, in ICU it's not about us sebenarnya, doctor. Even for me, katakan as a specialist, I depend a lot on my ICU nurse. Lagi I'm in private sector. I do not really have a medical officer to work with. So I depend on them. So they are my cause. Nak kata hidup dan mati, marah pula bini kan. So tak boleh cakap macam tu. But yeah, true, hidup dan mati patient tu depends on them as well as you. Because my responsibility is mine, but they know the patient in and out. Dia memang kita punya resource. Okay. Again, in our ICU, as you can see this famous pictorial about COVID-19, and we will see these patients category 4, category 5, or possibly in ICU care, we're talking about just category 5. So that link or that meeting between the pulmonary phase and the hyperinflammatory phase. So these are the patients that we receive in ICU for COVID-19. I'm talking just about COVID-19. So basic knowledge about them tu sangat-sangat penting when we talk about the disease. This is actually a good resource if you see this, but this will, I think, all the small parts will be further detailed by my colleagues later, by CHES, American Thoracic Society. Dia ada satu one-pager ni, cerita all you need to know, ICU for the non-intensivists regarding the management and what to look at. Simple je, it's a very nice graphic. You Google lah, memang jumpa benda ni kan, tak ada alasan ni, all the resources memang ada. So what's different about COVID-19 ICU ni sebenarnya? Okay, apa beza dia dengan ICU normal that we are handling? Number one is we're talking about isolation. So the PPE punya protocol that you have to abide to ensure to protect yourself. Second, the precautions for aerosol generating procedure. Nampak dalam gambar ni yang kita ada, pakai PAPR. Ni sebenarnya Chan, you nak try pakai PAPR spaceman ni, best juga. Actually sebenarnya it's quite nice because dia ada flow, sejuk kat dalam tu. So it's better to have that. But yeah, to be precaution, because at your point, patient is really infective, intubating, extubation, so you want to protect yourself. There's minimal physical contact between you and patient, try as much as possible, and that's why point of care ultrasound becomes the mainstay. Focus, your skills in focus. You nak buat you punya echo, you nak check you punya lung, you nak check anything, your DVT, etc. So focus point of care ultrasound become a core. Kalau tak ada, it impairs your manage. Because for example, siapa yang kat you kat sini, yang COVID patient, dia betul-betul auscultate. Kan, lagi-lagi you tengah wear full PPE. Siapa? Kalau ada tu respect lah, you ada, I don't know how you listen with your stethoscope, your ears with all the coverings there. But even in ED, in the critical care, what you do in terms of when you triaging your patient is through your ultrasound. So the importance of it, and we have to embrace it. Tak boleh tak. Again, healthcare worker are intermediary between family and patient for updates. And again, we're talking about off-tagging juga. I think in all our hospital, we off-tag because we consider patient, even though your PCR is positive, but they are non-infective. So you can care them in a non-COVID punya precautions. So why we want to do that? Sebenarnya it's about resources. Alright? Resources. Macam saya cakap lah, kita ada patient 50 dia punya, kita pakai PPE, all that we use. macam mana kan, we need to think about this, tak boleh membazir. Very important. Economics is also important in the care of ICU. Okay, roles and expectation. Okay, kalau you tengok sebelah kanan ni, this is for joke. Ini dalam, kalau you tengok cerita, ni cerita Doremi kan. Doremi. Tengok apa dia punya. Basically macam you kerja ICU lah. Kalau you kira-kira kan, berapa you punya, berapa you punya gaji. Kan, gaji sikit, bukan banyak. So yang tapi kebolehan paling penting, tahan maki. Okay, this is a joke lah. I mean, it's not the word, but yeah. Semualah tahan maki, nurse pun tahan maki dengan doktor, doktor pun tahan maki nurse, right? But the expectation of role of ICU, what ICU MO sebenarnya, I need you to just chill. Kalau kita kerja is always in a stressful situation, jangan overdo it, chill. But importantly, you have to be on time. You have to develop the skill of organized thinking of a patient. Because in a way, in this pandemic situation, we don't expect a lot. Kita nak is protocolized. There are certain objectives they want with the patient. You have to know the patient real-time status, and how do you know? It's actually from your nurses. Invasive line, this is something that you have to do. Your arterial line, central line, and again, the role training that you have your peer. I think we are back to the time where I guess kita learn one, do one, teach one. And of course, the alertness of where the patient's tipping or pressing issues. ICU nurses, different. Kalau if my requirement, they must be smart. Okay, they must be smart. I mean, ICU, in a way, I don't need you to be too smart. The reason is because the decision, you don't make the decisions. You just have to, orang kata, settle what the point of jobs. But if you are smart, lagi bagus lah. You can get that overall thinking of the patient. Because you don't have that experience, so it's about doing the job and ensuring it's being done. And of course, for the nurses, the update of your orders, the close monitoring of your chart, the tube, the ventilator, invasive line, infusion, and basic general care. Okay, I think that is all for the second talk. So if there is any question, again, regarding the fundamentals of ICU care, I hope I have gone through the points that may make you aware. If you're not already aware, kalau yang pernah belajar, maybe a refresher for you. Okay, so I put it back to the kita punya pengurusi majlis again for the session today.